All right, guys, today we're going to start talking about solving for x. So I've got a few problems up here. Negative 3x plus 4 is equal to 16. X over 2 plus 4 is equal to 8. And 3/2 x minus 3 is equal to negative 2. All right, so here's the big idea. The idea is whatever you're solving for, to get it on one side and everything else on the other. So we're going to isolate. So the idea is right now I've got the negative 3x plus 4 equals 16. So what I'm going to do is, to get rid of the stuff, I'm going to use the opposite, okay? To essentially balance my equation out. You know, if I think of it in terms of me holding these two markers, if I'm holding the two markers off, I'm balanced. You know, if I put one down, then I'm unbalanced. If I pick one up, I find my balance again. So the idea is if I drop one and I drop the other, I'm balanced. If I pick up one, I have to pick up the other to maintain balance. So what I do to one side of the equation, I have to do on the other side of the equation to maintain the balance, okay? So I got a 4 hanging out on the side of the x, and I want to get rid of it. Well, this is a positive 4, so I'm going to do the opposite. The opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. So I throw up a negative 4. But again, this is my equal sign, which is my balance point, right? So what I did to this side, I got to do to my other side. So I subtract 4 here. So this becomes negative 3x. The negative 4 and the positive 4 cancel out. And 16 minus the 4 is going to be 12. All right, now let's think about this. The negative 3 is trying to multiply with the x. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So negative 3x is equal to 12. So I'm going to divide by negative 3. What I do to this side, I have to do to the other side. So x is going to be equal to a negative 4. Remember, a positive divided by negative is going to give me my negative. And if I wanted to, I could take this and to check it, I put it right back up into the equation. So negative 3 times negative 4 plus 4 is equal to 16. Well, let's figure this out. Well, negative times a negative gives me a positive, and we know that negative 3 and negative 4 is going to give me a 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. Well, 16 is equal to 16. So I know I'm good. So essentially we take what we get here, we plug it up back into our original equation, and we see if it's correct or not. If it doesn't work, then I don't even go back and find out where I made my mistake. I just start the problem over, and it's a lot easier for me to find it that way. All right, now in this case, x over 2 plus the 4 equals 8. I'm going to get rid of this 4. So what I do, I subtract 4 from both sides. But while these 4's cancel out, I'm left with this 4. Now note, in this case, my 2 is dividing the x. Well, what's the opposite of division? Well, the opposite of division, of course, is multiplication. So to get rid of this 2, to reduce it out, I'm going to multiply by 2. And when I do it, if I multiply one side, I have to multiply the other side. So this 2 and this 2 are going to successfully reduce out. If you don't remember that, go back and check the fractions, because we go all through that in the video there. So this becomes x is equal to 2 times 4, my 8. Now in this case here, I got a negative 3. So I add the 3 to both sides. So I have my 3/2 x is equal to 1. All right. So I've got a 3.5, or 3 and a 2 here. So essentially what I'm really doing is I'm multiplying the x by 3, but I'm also having to divide the x by 2. So if I really wanted to, like here, when I multiply by 2, I can do that. And like here, I divided by, well, in this case it's a negative 3, but we're dividing by a 3 here, just like this, with the exception of the sign, of course. So we're going to do that at the same time. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, let's multiply divide by the 3, we're going to multiply by the 2. Instead of doing that, we're going to do it all at once using the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3/2 is 2/3. So 2/3 times 3/2 x is equal to my 2/3 times 1. All right, so this reduces this way, and we know this reduces this way, right? Essentially, 2 times 3, 6, 3 times 2, 6, so we've got our x. Those reduce to 1. So I know that x is equal to 2/3 times 1, which is our 2/3, okay? Real simple, real easy. Remember, the idea is to get whatever we're solving for. In our case, we were solving for x. We get x to one side. We move everything else to the other side. What we do to one side, we're going to do to the other side in order to create balance, and we're going to use the opposites. If I have a -3, well, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. If I'm multiplying by a fraction, I use the reciprocal. If I'm dividing, I multiply in order to get rid. So multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, whatever you see, you use the opposite. And that doesn't just stop there. Once we started talking about, roots and cubes and all that other stuff, we can go ahead and just do the opposite. The opposite of a square root, is to square it. Opposite of squaring something, take the square root. Real simple. We'll talk about that more later, but for now, just enjoy this. I want you to think about it and, have a fine Navy day.